Why retirement planning has been all wrong. Reading a book by Frederick Vittese, Vittese. Not sure how you pronounce his last name because he lives in Quebec, Montreal, Quebec province, something like that. But anyway, a Canadian, and he's a retired pension actuary. You know, the actuaries are the pension actuaries in particular. It's almost like a life insurance actuary. These are the people who know life expectancies. These are the people who crunch the numbers to know this stuff to make sure that the pensions and the life insurance companies or the insurance companies don't get caught like what happened with long-term care, where they're actually able to analyze the risks to the insurance company relative to the premiums that they receive historically. Oh, you like my shirt? I love CO2, and you should too. Look at all these trees, look at all those plants, they love CO2s. So if a tree or a plant and a tree love CO2, which it does, and I love plants and trees, which I do, inherently doesn't that logically mean that I should love CO2? Interesting, huh? And if the world is getting greener, because we now have 400 parts per million on CO2 in the atmosphere, and I like green, doesn't that mean I should also logically like CO2? Yeah. All right, so going back to the thing. It's always fun to engage in dialogue. Notice I said dialogue, not monologue, not rabble-rousing dialogue with people. And a shirt can do that. Anyway, so going back to this guy. So as an actuary, he has some skin in the game in terms of making sure their defined numbers are correct in terms of being able to provide the pension guarantees that the companies or the government say, hey boys, hey, I don't know if y'all can see that. It's Pablo's best friends back there, Trice and Cy. I guess they're named after Iowa State University football team or something like that, or stadium, because they went for Iowa State. And Pablo and those guys love each other. All right, so this guy says, it's interesting. So he says, everyone is planning on retiring as if they're going to live a certain time frame. He goes, there's nothing wrong with that. But then he showed a number. This is just the first chapter. I just started reading this book. I had to put down my other book about the history of energy for civilization because I just got this book. I just been wanting to read this for a while. Anyway, he goes, everyone has been planning as if you're going to live like a 30-year life expectancy retirement. But then he showed from the Canadian health, their version of CMS, Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services, that said you take 20 people, all right, who are the age of 50 right now. And this study was done in, I guess, 2008. I imagine it's still the same thing here today. But you fast forward till they're 70, all right? 10 of those people are in good shape and are alive. 1.5 of those people are dead. 8.5 of those people are in some kind of impairment and rather critical. And that doesn't mean they're like life-threatening, but they have some kind of issue that's debilitating, keeping them from going on their 2-month excursion to Spain or to the Bahamas or something like that. So what Frederick was saying was that 50% of the population at the age of 70 who were 100% were fine at 50% of those people have either dead or some kind of debilitating illness. And again, the debilitating illness is kind of up to the beholder. Just because you have whatever the types of diabetes are doesn't mean you can't travel, whatnot. But it is an illness nonetheless, which has some serious restrictions on your ability to either live a long life or to enjoy a long retirement or to enjoy your current retirement, if that makes sense. So he's saying, why are we so focused on the tails of the retirement planning, what's called Gaussian or Gaussian, I don't know how to pronounce it because I'm not a mathematician, probability curves. That would be the bell curve. Why are we so focused on that one little area that says, oh, don't run out of money because you'll be destitute in retirement, when in fact, so many of us aren't going to survive that long to begin with, and so many of us are going to run well short of time to enjoy their retirement, even if they're still alive. Now, he uses the Grant and Grasshopper? The Grant and Grasshopper. He uses the ant and grasshopper analogy Oh man, that was great. Oh man, I'm sure this will get banned from YouTube now because I said a bad word. He uses, actually, it's funny because Calvin were taking Pablo to the bus stop today with the boys, and Calvin said he's gonna not wag his tail. Tail is wag. No, he's gonna wag his tail. Towel his wag or something like that. It was just, we're all laughing about Pablo because he was going crazy when he saw those Psy and Trice back there. Anyway, so the issue is the ant and grasshopper. We always say the ant is who we want to be because the ant has been deliberately saving, grinding away during the summertime so we can have a restful winter. And the grasshopper we all can't stand because the grasshopper is just partying like it was 1999 during the summertime, just living large. He's looking over the ant and say, dude, why don't you enjoy your life? And the ant's like, because bad times are coming. He goes, inherently humans are more like the ant, at least we project we are, always worrying about the future. However, is that necessarily the best way to live? To be the ant, always deferring good times because you're building up wealth, preparing for the winter to come. Whereas at least the grasshopper is enjoying his current time where he can enjoy it and enjoy to say, look, I'm going to have fun. I'm alive. I'm healthy. This is the time I want to enjoy. And the ant's saying, no. Don't do that. We got to save for the future. Obviously, there can be a happy medium in between, right? Or medium, whatever. There can be a happy middle of the road there to say, be an ant to some degree, but also be a grasshopper to some degree as well. Don't be such an ant that you overlook your fun times today as you're preparing for retirement or in retirement. In fact, the sad thing is, I'm telling you, man, in my career, I've seen, look, when you're a professional financial planner, it's a self-selecting group of people you talk to. I get that, right? A single woman living in South Fulton County, just work on Medicaid and Social Security, is not going to look to me to help her with financial planning. I get that. But on the other hand, I see a lot of ants in my 20 plus years doing this who are now 83 years old, husband's dead. They got more income from RMDs alone than they know what to do with. And their big thing is, I keep getting these RMDs, I don't know what to do with them. And they just, look, I'm not saying they're miserable, but they're just, they could have enjoyed it more. You see what I'm saying? That is the issue I've contended with as a professional financial planner, a whole heck of a lot more than people being destitute. Again, this is anecdotal. It does not mean it's likely or true. It's just my experience as a professional financial planner with a self-selecting group of people. The ants are much more prevalent in my area of expertise than the grasshoppers. I don't come across anyone, hardly, who's going to run out of money. Now, I come across people who have big goals that can't be achieved, but that doesn't mean they're going to be destitute. And like my man says, Frederick, he's talking about, it's weird how we always hear about this retirement crisis from the 30,000 foot viewpoint, but yet we don't hear about it from Joe, the retired engineer who's living on mac and cheese in some kind of bachelor place in the middle of Crimeville. We don't hear about the specifics, we always hear the big picture. And yet when it comes down to it, Joe, the retired engineer who has no savings and no pension, we still don't hear about the destitute of the vast majority of people, even though there is a retirement crisis. So something doesn't, those two things don't work in symmetry. And I agree with that 100%. And so going back to the thing about self-selecting, I have seen the ants many more times than the grasshoppers. My grasshoppers have been people who want to do two things. They want to buy a beach house and they want to buy a mountain house. You're like, yeah, you can't do both. You can't do both. You got to buy one or the other. All right, well, or you got to rent as opposed to own if you want to keep doing this. I mean, there's various goals that can't be accomplished. And just because you can't accomplish your goals doesn't mean you are a failure in retirement. It just means the goals are too high for what your capacity is. But yet you're still living 3 meals a day, still doing most of the things you can enjoy. You know, 80% of your goals being met, still pretty doggone good. Now, it's not 100% of your goals being met, that's for sure, but 80% of your goals being met, and you can't buy the beach house, that's, man, I'm not gonna sit there and say that's a bad retirement option, that's for sure. All right, anyway, so the ant and the grasshopper is something to concern yourself with. Am I too much of the ant? And I would say don't think about it if you're too much of the grasshopper. I don't think that's an issue if you're watching this channel. If you're too much of an ant, though, I do think it would be. And that just means someone who's putting aside enjoyment for the future because they're so worried about the winter, which is coming. And look, man, I get it. You know, wintertime does come, but that doesn't mean you have to live like a stoic today to prepare for the winter. So always just keep that in mind. I'll put a link in the show notes when I'm more done with this book, because again, I just started. And as always, I want to make sure it's righteous before I give you guys the recommendation. All right, we'll see you.